questions for Simon?
So Simon, when you look back at your time at Omaha, what moments or experiences do you think you're going to remember most from being a Maverick?
Definitely the friendships, the partnerships, and the staff members, the teammates, and all of this stuff. I think the people around have been great, and I'm gonna remember them forever. They helped me a lot on my journey, and hockey-wise, the memories. I don't know. I'm still looking at the locker room and like the Baxter, like the locker room that we have. I don't think that many other places do have, and it's something really special. So I try to enjoy that. And yes, there have been a lot of great moments. I would say that sophomore year when we beat Colorado College, and then when we went to the Frozen Face-Off, that was and tournament. That was fun. That was a really good team and a great experience. I think that the tournament is really cool experience to be a part of.
When you first arrived here compared to the goaltender that you are today, how do you feel that your game has changed the most?
A lot. I think that I'm a completely different goalie. It's 4 years, right? And I've had great goalie coaches around me who helped me, kind of shaped me over the time. And also the rest of the coaches that helped me kind of like be better mentally, I would say. Even Coach Gabinet helped me, I would say, kind of to be like a little stronger mentally and go to get what I want to get, and not just sit back and wait that it's going to happen. Yes, so I change a lot, and if I was about to tell you about all of the things, we would be here for my probably hour.
Okay. You talked about Baxter, and you've played a lot of hockey in this building over the last 4 years. When you think about your time here, what do you hope people remember about you as Maverick?
Great person, great being, great goalie, and I just try to be myself. I don't try to pretend to be someone else, and this is who I am. I think that people could see it. I behaved whole 4 years, I would say, pretty similar way. The people got to know me, and it didn't try to change anything. It worked out well, and the people around me and the community, they're all great people, so like they didn't expect anything crazy out of me, so it was all just great friendships.
As a captain this year, what advice would you give to next year's captain about leading this program?
That it's not easy to lead a team. It was a hard season, and you always have to stay positive and believe that it's going to work out, because everyone looks at you, and if you don't do it, then the rest of the team would not do it, wouldn't believe that we can do it. And I think that was one thing that we did well here, that we always throughout the season, even though it didn't go our way, believe that we can change it and get better.
What's next for you, both hockey-wise and personally?
I don't know yet, to be honest. I have no question myself or answers myself, so I don't know. Maybe I'm going to stay in the North America, maybe I'm going to go to Europe. I think that it's going to get decided in next week or so.
How was, in your opinion, how did the team play last weekend? I know it was disappointing you lost, but did you put in a good effort, everybody on the team, you think, against? Well,
if you make it to the playoffs from the 8th place and play against the first place team, and if you want to win, I think that the goalie needs to play outstanding. I think that the team did play a good hockey, but I don't think that I played outstanding hockey to make it a little farther.
Simon, you've been really thoughtful with us all year. Is there anything that you want to say to Omaha fans before you leave the program?
Thank you for supporting me, supporting us. It's been great, and I couldn't be more proud that I made the decision to come back here for 4 years.
Coach talks a lot about how Omaha is kind of unknown, under the radar. What would you say to a prospective recruit that's considering coming to Omaha?
It's a great city, great facilities, great ring, and great people around you. And I think that the people around you, that is the special thing, because you can have a good place anywhere else, but if there are people around you that truly care about you, that makes the difference. And like the people around me care about me throughout my all 4 years, and that was the reason why I came back here. And I could go wherever, trust me, but I always come back because I really enjoyed the people around me, and I could see that they care about me and they want me to develop me, and that's why I stayed my 4 years here.
We appreciate it.
Awesome. Perfect. Good job. Thanks, Sonia.
Questions for Coach?
So Coach, last week you were confident about the team's chances against North Dakota, but the results weren't what you hoped. Looking back at the series, what were the biggest challenges that the team faced?
Yeah, again, I think just the consistency. I thought Friday night probably played 15 minutes of pretty darn good hockey against a very good opponent, and just those 8 minutes, in the second period there on Friday, and again on Saturday, kind of same thing, right? Just couldn't string it together for long enough, consistent enough period of time where their firepower didn't catch us there. So, like Simon said, I thought the guys that had a good game plan, tried their best to execute it consistently there, and you got to give North Dakota a little bit of credit too. They're a team that can score and can make you pay if you have a little bit of a letdown, even for a short amount of time. And they're number 2 in the country right now for a reason. And so again, just frustrated we couldn't find a way to get one and then make it interesting on Sunday there. And but like I said, got to give them some credit there, and we just weren't, we just had those key letdowns at the wrong time that they took advantage of.
When you look back on the season as a whole, what stands out most about this team?
Yeah, again, I think just to speak to Simon a little bit too, just the character that's, of some of those individuals in the locker room, again, when you're going through wins and losses and ups and downs of a season, especially this year, we just couldn't get those couple wins together, and it's challenging and it's not easy to do, and you're frustrated, you're angry, all those things. And so just to have that mindset to keep fighting and to keep taking steps forwards and to keep showing up and putting in work, and like Simon says, being a leader isn't easy, and you have to bring the energy, you have to bring the juice, you have to bring the optimism, and you have to be the example that you want to see the rest of the people that you're leading. And that's not easy to do, but again, I think just even if, looking down the stretch, some wins we had to put ourselves in a position to keep playing, I think that doesn't happen if you don't have the people that we do in the right spots.
Looking ahead toward next season,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty excited, optimistic about the potential. I know it's early, as far as next year, but early on, I mean, think it could be a pretty exciting season.
Yeah, I think so. Simon and I were just talking before just about we're pretty big fans of some of the young guys we have here in the program, and just not only from a playing standpoint but a commitment standpoint. And as we've talked about all the time, it's hard in this conference sometimes even to be average. Right? You got to do a lot of right things consistently just to try to earn home ice advantage, to try to be in the 4th spot in the conference. It is a lot of work and a lot of things that you have to commit to be able to do that. And so, again, I think there's a nice foundation piece there with guys that are understanding that level that needs to be maintained and consistent there, and so that gives you some good positive energy moving forward.
Tying into recruiting, on NCHC Media Day, you talked extensively about your recruiting philosophy for this year, specifically how you were among the first to pursue the youth sports players. Looking back on the season, how would you assess that strategy?
Yeah, again, I think with the portal, being the first year at the portal, not having 5th-year players, that I thought we did extremely well in the past. I think we did that. There's just less available in the portal, so I think you have to look at other ways to maybe some guys that have a little bit of experience, like the Mark Lajoie or the Trevor Wong, so to speak, right? That have a little bit of that experience that can bring a little bit more maturity to the group than just a freshman coming in from junior. So again, that's where our kind of mind was at, to try to find some of those guys that can bring a little bit more experience there. And, just, thinking of guys like Wong, I thought really took a big step in the second half, and Mark, and, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I thought some of those Max Pellerin, I thought some of those guys did a really nice job for us, just continued to evolve and get better. We mentioned Chigs and Brett and those guys that are just, you could tell it's a big step for those guys when you talk to them one-on-one. It's a step up in level, so you got to have that adaptation period a little bit. And I think it kind of surprised a couple of guys just how high the level was. But again, I thought they did a good job, giving us their best effort for that.
Looking in general terms, not specific players, but can you talk in general about your recruiting philosophy for this off-season, or preseason as we call it?
Yeah.
Obviously, you need a new netminder, and you have 6 other seniors to replace and have some commitments already.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your priorities for filling those gaps?
Yeah, I think it's always looking at where do you need to improve at, right? What do you need to get better at? What are the areas there? And without giving too much of speaking directly about our personnel, right? It's just, you got to look at the areas you need to get better at, and those are the areas you got to get better at. And I think there are some things evident during the season that we need to keep improving at, and you got to work hard to make sure you're doing that, and then also develop the guys you got to, like I said, some of those good young players, and have another year under their belts at this level, and just, I think, even thinking about Simon, I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know if you started until maybe after Christmas, right?
Yeah.
I think
December,
right? So again, here's one of the best goalies to play in the league, and as a freshman, it was a little rocky for him early, right? So just goes to show, right? You have to have the patience for that a little bit there too, but you got to make sure that, I also knew Simon was a winner, right? And I could tell that early on, even if his play was struggling a little bit, he's doing the right things that eventually will pay off. So and that's the standard. Hey, we've had 5 straight winning seasons here, and we didn't have it this year, and that's not good enough. Right, so again, that's my message to the group: is this was our standard, that even that 5 winning seasons was our standard. We wanted a championship, and so you have to have those standards high, and have the guys that are willing to do the things necessary to compete at that standard. Because as I said, even just to be a mid-level team in this conference, you gotta work extremely hard and have a high standard, and develop and grow and get better, and keep pushing yourself as a staff, as a team, as an individual, and that's ultimately how you get better.
You ended up bringing in 16 new players with Ryan coming in late in the season, and 7 players from the roster 2 seasons ago were all that was left from that. In hindsight, would this be considered a rebuilding year then for the program?
Yeah, again, I think so. I think it's just college athletics a little bit too, right? I think as you see around the country there, it's, you're not the only one dealing with that sort of thing too. So, but yeah, I think, like we mentioned, with some of the, I really like our freshman class, and I think those guys could be another foundational piece here, and just with their work ethic and character, and I think their potential as well is there. So I think every year you're gonna be dealt with a different hand, and you have to adjust, and you have to strategize, and you have to be strategic, and you have to do the work. And every year is going to be a little bit different, but I think if you have that mindset to reflect and grow and self-evaluate and find out how you can be better, and then take the steps necessary to do that, that's how you keep improving. And in a landscape where there's not a lot of clarity in a lot of things, that's sometimes what you have to deal with.
I know you mentioned that this year you had, I think, the second toughest schedule. Yeah. How's next year's schedule? Is it complete, or is it going to be maybe just as challenging? Or?
Yeah, again, I hate excuses, and I think lean on the schedule is an excuse a little bit. But in the same breath, like I thought, one of the things that hurt us this year was, those, having, I don't know if we ended up with the second or whatever, first or whatever it was, hardest schedule in the country. But I think if you look at the other teams that had similar schedules, their season was, BU and Minnesota, and some of these teams, ASU was in that boat too, right? Like if you look at their seasons, what happens when that is you don't have the ability to make mistakes and still win. And I think sometimes your best teaching moments come when maybe you don't play your best, but you have some success, so you can kind of reiterate, here's the good things, here's the things, and maintain a bit of confidence while you're going through that. And I think when you're losing, when that happens, it wears on the players a little bit where, they don't have that luxury to maybe make a mistake and still come away with a win and then learn from it and keep their confidence. So, but that's the schedule, so you gotta find a way to do it. But, definitely don't think it helped us this season.
A lot of learning opportunities for those young guys as we approach these next couple months. What do you want them, for the returning players, what do you want them thinking about and doing to prepare for that next season?
Yeah, just the standard that you need to be at every day to compete at this level. I think that's really important that guys understand that and how hard it is to be successful at this level. It has to be an all the time thing. It's I don't envy these guys at times. It's a grueling process, as Simon will tell you. It's a lot of work and it's a long season and we're going, like, we played Nodak how many times in postseason? I mean, there's historically one of the best programs in college hockey, and that's who we get every playoffs. So like that's who you got to go through. Right? So like just the level of commitment and from everybody involved in the program that needs to happen to be successful against those teams. It's a lot, and you can't apologize for it. You have to have the guys that want to do that, and that's what you sign up for, and it's not easy.
This year, the entire leadership group was made up of returning players, so you'll be replacing those next year. What are you looking for in a captain next season?
Yeah, again, like Simon said, it's being a leader isn't easy. So I think you have to have someone that maybe has some natural ability to want that role as well as be able to do it. And I think that's important and then has the respect of the locker room as well too by their actions. Guys that are doing those things consistently that aren't easy to do and has that disciplined approach to on the ice, off the ice, all those different things that matter there. So again, I think the good news is even talking to our existing captains, there's guys in that locker room that have potential to do that. And that's always, positive when you hear your current captains talk about other players on the team in that mind with that frame set. Yeah.
So getting back to next, you're pretty confident that, things could improve then maybe for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always getting after it. That's the fun part of it, is getting better and finding ways to improve and taking the time to, how can you be better as a coach? What can you do differently? What can you, asking questions, listening, improving. I think that's part of what great people do, and use that anger to motivate you to get better. I think that's what winners do, and that's what we're going to do.
What does the next 6 months look like for the coaches? What do you guys do between now and when the next season starts?
Yeah, it gets a bit, it's busy, right? It's just that, there's just so much movement now and so many different things that happen in the next little bit here that it's about just first off reflecting on the season and, like you mentioned, some of those things and what do we need to improve at and all those things. And then it's recruiting and, getting a chance to go see your current recruits and finalizing the open spots that you have and doing all those things. So it's a lot of different things, a lot of different hats you got to wear and different things like that you got to do that need to be done.
But do you get to do anything fun during the summer too? Do you get any time off?
Yeah, definitely. You know what? That's something I'm trying to work hard on too. Is making sure for me with my spending some time with my son for sure and daughter obviously and family and doing some fun stuff too and coaching too. I think working on coaching, I think for me that's what brings me energy is coaching. And I think that's something that you got to keep working on as a coach is to have systems in place and support in place that frees you up to coach. And I think you talk to a lot of coaches in pro hockey or things like that. They always wonder how do you do it nowadays in college just because of all the other stuff that happens besides coaching. So I think that's really important that you make sure you put the systems and strategies in place to allow yourself to coach and help guys. And I think that's ultimately what, like Simon said, I think that's why we have such a close relationship because you get those times on helping individuals improve and get better. And that's the most rewarding thing, right? I think that at the end of the day, as a coach, that fills your tank up is when you see guys that you know, like Simon, like he said, he could have gone anywhere in the country and he chose to stay here. And I believe it's because of our relationship and the help that you've built there and the support you've given each other, right? And I think those are the special things that, when I reflect back on coaching, I think that's going to mean the most to me for sure. Okay. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for the support.
Thank you.
Yep.